Good morning, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We appreciate your patience. So we were just having some issues with the recording of this meeting. So we're going to begin now. And then again, thanks for everyone for their patience. So this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is being called to hear applications under the Planning Act for minor variances and/or consents. This is a statutory public meeting. Anyone having an interest in any of these applications may make oral or written submissions for the committee's consideration. This committee will then render a verbal decision on this date, and the agent or applicant will receive a copy of the committee's decision in writing via email 10 days after today's meeting. Each application will proceed by the same process. Staff will introduce the application. I will then advise the rest of the committee whether or not there have been late written submissions. I will confirm with the applicant or its agent whether or not they've reviewed the staff report and are in support of that same recommendation. I will then invite any parties in opposition to make oral submissions, and I ask that they please sit on your right and my left. You can see the first chair here. And finally, after the submissions, my fellow committee members may ask questions of staff, the parties in opposition, or the applicant. Finally, this committee will make a motion to approve, reject, or defer the application. So the first order of business today is to approve the minutes of this committee for the meeting held in, I believe, December of 2023. So can I please get a motion for that? Scott, I think, got his hand up first. Can I get Scott? You did not. Sorry, Marco got his hand up first. Can I please get a second on the motion? Thank you, Member McCall. And then all in favor of approving the minutes? It was unanimously. Thank you. And second order of business, can I please know if any of my fellow members have a pecuniary interest in any of the applications on today's agenda? Yep, Member McCall.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do have a conflict with the first item on the agenda, which is old business, and at that juncture I will recuse myself and leave the room.
Thank you. So this is the first one. I ask that you please step back. Thank you. Can we please have the applicant or agent for the unfinished business? That's consent application B 2023-024 and variance applications A 2023-135 and 136 come forward. That's the 52 Edge Hill Drive. And can staff please reintroduce this application for the committee?
Yes, thank you, Chair. These are two minor variance applications and a consent application that were originally heard at the November 2023 Committee of Adjustment meeting. They were deferred because the Region of Waterloo needed to review a scoped Stage 2 hydrological study for septic system servicing, and this study needed to be peer-reviewed. The study has since been reviewed and regional comments have been received, so the applications were put on this agenda for your consideration. The two minor variance applications first are for one each for both the retained and the severed parcel. The first one, the retained lot, needs a variance for the lot area and to permit a driveway width that is greater than 8 meters. The second variance application is for lot area variance as well. And the consent application is to create a new building lot for a new detached dwelling. Staff have reviewed both variance applications in light of the 4 tests. The Planning Act finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval of both of those. And staff have reviewed the consent application and finds that it meets provincial, regional, and city policies and is recommending approval of that application with a number of conditions.
Thank you very much for detailed report, staff. Has the applicant had a chance to review the staff report? And are you in support of the staff recommendation? Yeah, push the little talk. Yeah, you're good to go. You're good? Nope, you turned it off now. One more time. There. You're off again. You just don't hold, just press.
Okay.
Yeah, it's confusing. It's okay.
Sorry, it's all new to me here. Well, good morning, Committee of Adjustments. Yes, I did review the report, and I agree with the staff report, and I just had a couple of questions. And the first question was regarding the environmental noise clause, because where we live, it's actually not that noisy. If you're on Edge Hill Drive, there's a property between us and then there's King Street, but I understand if you're on Limerick Drive and you're backing onto the 401, it's very, very noisy there, but I don't know if this is because of future plans of the LRT that they want this clause.
Can you point to that numbered condition you're discussing right now? Or and maybe staff could point us as well?
It's,
Conditions
Is-
16 and 17.
16, 17, thank you.
yeah.
I think, well, when we move into debate, my fellow committee, we listen and then we'll discuss
Okay.
that condition once we get to
Sure,
debate. So
yeah.
thanks for highlighting that.
Yeah.
Is there any other comments you wanted us to be aware of before we got into debate?
Yeah, then there was another question, it's all new to me, so I just had another question about the water services. There's water services at the corner of Limerick and Edge Hill Drive, which I plan on bringing down and connecting onto the property. But I've noticed it's approximately about 100 meters away, and the cost of that's probably about $1,000 a meter, so we're looking at $100,000 to bring the water down. But I did notice there's a property, it's at 110 Royal Oak in Cambridge, that the region did allow for private services where they could drill a well on the property. So I was just wondering, do I have the option of, can I drill a well on the property, or does it have, the water services have to be brought down? That was another question I had.
I think we'll discuss that when we get into debate. So just to be clear, it's the the noise on 16 and 17, and then well questions, just so we understand your
That's
submissions.
correct, yeah.
Yep, thank you. So at this point, are there any members of the public who wanted to make comments in opposition or support of the application? I don't think there are, so I look forward to a motion so we could start debate here. Member Hanna?
Do you mind if I ask questions of staff and the applicant first, or do you want a motion first?
Yeah, you can ask questions.
Okay,
Sorry
thank you
about
very much. From my perspective, I was actually going to ask you about the water services because I believe that all new development has to have a water service, and I was going to actually ask you why you weren't planning on having a water service to the existing house. So are you planning to have the water service to the existing house or not?
Not to the existing house, just to the property of the severed lot?
Okay. I will, of course, ask staff about the new house, but for my read of the official plan, the new house definitely has to be connected to water.
Okay.
That former house potentially, and I'll ask staff again, might have been built before the new official plan was in effect,
Right.
and may have had some flexibility, but
Because it
down on
does, oh, sorry, but it does state in the staff report that the retained lot would continue private water and private sanitary services.
yeah, that's why I asked the question.
Okay, sure.
Just for clarification, if staff could just, with the issue we're talking about, could you clarify? Thanks.
Yes, so the new lot will have to be on municipal water. The retained lot has the ability to remain on on-site individual water service. Demolition permits and building permits for that dwelling were issued in 2015. The official plan was not in effect at that time, and we recognize that the building that was demolished had private on-site water service, so that was carried over to the new dwelling in 2015. So it's not required to be on municipal services moving forward as part of this, as a condition of this consent application, only the new dwelling lot.
Just a follow-up then, condition 11 is the one that deals with servicing, and there's a lot of flexibility in there, but one of the requirements from engineering will be the extension of that water main.
That is correct.
If we want to get the discussion going, I have no problems moving the staff recommendation as is. I'll explain why I don't think there's any need to reduce the noise warning clauses myself.
Thank you. Member Hanna, can I get a second for the motion? Member Santos, second. Start debate. I'll go first. I agree. I think I appreciate that the noise condition might seem onerous, but it's pretty standard with most properties. And like I said, it's just it just goes on title. I don't see, especially at staff recommendation, why we'd exclude it. So I'm on your side. Member Hannah, yep, Member Hannah?
Yeah, I would reiterate that. The only requirement for 16 and 17 is actually the enter into a development agreement that's registered on title, so future owners are put on notice that there may be some noise from time to time, so it's not an owner's requirement.
So unless there's further comments, ready for vote? So all in favor as moved? So it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll go get Member McCall. Can we please have the applicant for A 2024-001, that's 3273 King Street East, please come forward? And can we have staff please introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is an application for 3273 King Street East. It is an application for permission. It is requesting permission to permit a legal non-conforming single detached dwelling to be used for a single detached dwelling with a personal service use. There's also some recognition of the parking as part of this request. So to permit the parking space to be located 0.5 meters instead of 3 meters from the street line, and to permit a parking space to be located in a DVT or driveway visibility triangle, whereas the bylaw does not permit this currently. The parking, barrier-free parking space will also be 2.4 meters instead of the required 3.4 meters. So staff have reviewed this application in light of the 2 tests for permission rather than the 4 tests for minor variance. We're recommending approval subject to the condition that the required parking spaces be demarcated on site as shown in the staff report, and that barrier-free signage is to be installed and provided in accordance with the City of Kitchener Urban Design Manual. And the owner would be required to complete this work by July 1st, 2024. Staff have reviewed, again, this application in light of those 2 tests and finds that it meets those 2 tests and is recommending approval.
Thank you so much, staff. Can the applicant state his name for the record and whether he's in support of the recommendation?
My name is Nelson Napoles Triana, and my wife is also owner of the property, is Elvira Batke.
Thank you. And are you in support of the staff recommendation?
Yes, we are in support of the staff recommendation for
Thank
the
you.
parking.
Are there any members of the public who wish to provide comments in opposition? I don't believe there are. So did my fellow members have any questions of the applicant? No? Okay, so then I look forward. Oh, Member Santos.
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
Yep, second. Member Hannah, second. Thank you. Is there any debate? I think it's all simple. So all in favor of the motion on the floor? It passes, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can we please have the applicant for A 2024-002, that's 44 Patricia Avenue, please come forward? And can staff introduce this application when they're ready?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is an application for 44 Patricia Avenue. The applicant is requesting relief to permit an interior side yard setback of 0.5 meters instead of the minimum required 1.2 meters. This is to facilitate the construction of a second-story addition above an existing attached garage, generally in accordance with drawings prepared and submitted with the application. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the 4 tests. The Planning Act finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval.
Thank you very much, staff. Can the applicant state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
My name is John Westcott.
Oh, can you get closer to the mic? I can't quite hear you. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
My name is John Westcott, and we represent the owners through our company, Chicopee Craftsman.
And are you in support of the application
Absolutely.
or the recommendation?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any members of the public here to provide comment in opposition? I don't think there are, so did my fellow members have any questions? No? Then, Member McCall?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a very straightforward application. Very minor, so I will move that this be approved as per the staff report.
Thank you. Can I get a second for the motion? Member Gambetti, second. Thank you. Any debate? echo Member McCall's comments. All in favor of the motion on the floor? And passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Can we have the applicant for A 2024-003 through 008 please come forward? That's 1388 New Dundee. And can staff please introduce these minor variance applications?
Yes, thank you, Chair. These minor variance applications, I believe 6 in total, 3, 4, 5, 6, are for future lots on Winter Run Crescent. They are to permit a unit and townhouse unit and width of 6.9 meters instead of the required 9.5 meters. Staff have reviewed the variances in light of the 4 tests. The Planning Act finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval of all of these applications.
Thank you very much. Can the agent or applicant state her name for the record and if she's in support of the staff recommendation?
Excuse me, sorry.
No, don't worry.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Wolf, and I'm with MHBC Planning, and I'm in full support of the positive staff recommendation.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public here that wish to provide comments in opposition? Don't think there are. Are there, my fellow committee members want to ask questions? Member Hanna.
Yes, I fully support the application, so don't get worried. I just had a quick question technically for staff. The resolution says to permit a lot width of 6.9, and then a minimum requirement for the lot is 9.5. 2 of the lots are actually 8.4, and the other ones are 6.9. Would it make sense to say to permit a minimum lot width rather than a lot width?
Sure, that would be an acceptable amendment. Thank you.
Okay.
Here, Member Hanna, can you say that one more time for me?
Okay,
Sorry.
I'd like to make or move the staff recommendation with a slight modification. Where it says to permit a lot width for the external unit of 6.9, I would say to permit a minimum lot width for the external unit of 6.9. Because 2 of the lots are actually 8.4.
Okay. And staff? Yeah. So then, any other questions or get a motion?
Looking for a seconder.
A second? So thank
I'll
you.
second.
Member Hanna moved the motion, and then Madam Clerk were able to get the amendment. Yep. And then Member Santos seconds. I think it's good. Greenfield Development, I like it. So all in favor of the motion on the floor, amended motion? And it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we please have the applicant for A 2024-009 come forward? That's 169 Otterbein Road. And if staff, please correct my pronunciation.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. This is a minor variance application for 169 Otterbein Road, Otterbein. And this is to permit a rear yard setback of 2 meters instead of the required 7.5 meters. This is to facilitate the construction of a new detached dwelling on a corner lot on a roundabout. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the 4 tests. The Planning Act finds that it meets all 4 of those and is recommending approval.
Thank you. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
I am in support. My name is Patrick Aramis. I work with J.D. Barnes Land Surveying.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public to provide comments in opposition? I don't think there are. Did anyone wanted to ask any questions of the applicant or agent? Member Hanna.
I shouldn't care about this one, but I do. So you're the surveyor. You're not the applicant or the owner, or you're not the proposed purchaser of the property, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm troubled by where this particular house, because the sliders for the house are leading out into what would be technically the front yard. So I don't disagree with staff that there's amenity area on this site, but the amenity area is in the technical front yard. And the fence bylaw for the city doesn't allow a fence in that front yard greater than 3 feet. Now I'm going to confirm that with staff. Was there any consideration of flipping the design of this particular house so that the garage was slightly closer to the corner of Otterbein and Dunnigan? Because then you would have a functional rear yard where the slider would be out there. I can show you the sketch of what I've got. But it just, I see a problem in the future where somebody's going to build a fence here in this front yard and we're going to create a bylaw infraction.
Well, I can understand that. We thought of that as well. The issue is that particular roundabout has, if you look at the design, especially on the grading plan, you can see it. There's curbing everywhere. It's like a triangular curb that comes up. It's very difficult. This driveway basically has to be where it is. And so flipping the house and doing anything with that and moving it over is almost impossible. And it's just a very restrictive lot to design a house on.
Just to follow up with staff, I mean, my sketch, I'm moving the driveway not to the actual arc of the curve of the roundabout, but just prior to that. I don't see any reason why a driveway couldn't be there.
So the driveway was approved in this location on the engineering drawings for the subdivision. I would have to confer with our transportation engineering staff, and maybe Steve can advise as to the driveway location as it relates to the intersection. The bylaw does require an 8-meter setback with the new bylaw. With the curve, I would have to check and see again whether there's any potential to relocate the driveway closer to the intersection. As I said, the engineering drawings were approved as part of the subdivision approval. With respect to the fence question, 3 feet in a front yard.
If I could just have your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, I just want to follow up. Am I technically correct to say, though, that the fence bylaw for the city for a front yard, which technically is the distance between that wall and the corner of Otterbein and Dunnigan, the fence can only be 3 feet high? Am I technically correct?
Within a front yard, the maximum height is 0.91 meters or 3 feet.
Okay. I just see, just for my fellow committee members, I just see an issue with this particular development where if a fence is built, which I would build a fence there if I owned this property, to enclose my little privacy area, I'm creating an actual safety issue for that one half of the semi on Dunnigan, because there will be a sightline obstruction there. So when the time comes, I'm just letting you know I will not be supporting this application.
We'll enter debate. I had one question of staff. Would this subdivision not have been handled by like a site-wide zoning bylaw amendment? I'm not sure why this particular property is before the committee when it could have been done in its ZBA. Oh, we lost you.
I turned it off instead of turn on. This subdivision was designed and planned under zoning bylaw 85-1. Under that bylaw, for a corner lot, either lot line could have been the front lot line. So there was the potential for either lot line to be the front under that bylaw. Now with the new bylaw, the only lot line that can be the front line is the shorter of the two lot lines, which has created the situation. Again, the driveway location was anticipated to be here as part of the planned approval of the subdivision.
Back when the whole development was approved. Okay, I get it.
I think too, if I may, the further you are away from the actual circle, the safer it is from a driving perspective. The closer you get to that circle, the traffic gets more intense because people go around, and if anybody's backing out of that driveway, and we considered all that when trying to keep the house. We're trying to keep it as far away from that line as we could, as well as keeping it as far away from the circle. It's not an easy lot, and we're probably going to be here for another property across the street, which is even more difficult because it's narrower. But anyway, it's just a tricky lot.
No, and we appreciate that. And so can I get a motion? So maybe we could start debate. Seems like we're going to diverge a little here. Remember, just because you moved, it doesn't mean you have to vote.
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
Okay, thank you, Member Santos. Can I get a second? I think Member Gambetti got his hand up first. You know, it's unfortunate when we have greenfield development that would have had a zoning bylaw amendment that, you know, things get missed, but, you know, it's not ours. It's easy in hindsight to police everything that happened, you know, a couple of years ago to staff when they wouldn't know. And I appreciate there's a concern for sight lines, but looking at Google Maps, this Otterbein Road, it's not exactly a through street. It ends at Lackner, so I'm not really that concerned with traffic in the area. Yeah, there is. Does anyone have any other comments? Yep. Member Santos?
I'll follow up. I certainly share Member Hannah's concerns here, but I do appreciate what the professionals have done here and staff as well. And you're trying to make lemonade here from some lemons in a really awkward lot. And I just have to trust then afterwards that bylaw will ensure that the fence remains small. But it's just too bad it's going to be a really big house on a very small, awkward lot, and it's going to make it a very awkward roundabout that's already a little bit tight. So I do have some concerns here, but I hope if everything's followed correctly that it won't be a problem, and it's the best they can do.
Thanks, Member Santos, and I'll put my lawyer hat on. There is case law to suggest that the Committee of Adjustment is supposed to consider that a property, when it's an unusual shape, if it's not, the variances aren't self-inflicted if it's just because the property's funky. You're supposed to give it a little extra leeway, and I appreciate that, and the staff report, they recommended what they recommended. Any other comments? Staff?
Sorry, through the chair, I just wanted to add, because Tina mentioned me looking at it, my guess and estimation is for the location of the driveway is because of the actual geometry of the road and the curbs and there's catch basins located very close to the start of the bullnose of the roundabout, and that's likely why we had the driveway pushed further to the plan left of the property.
Thank you. We appreciate the comments. Member Gambit, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I just have a question for either staff or my fellow members. Would it be worth potentially adding a condition to put the property sort of on notice, just to kind of remind them that the fence, if they want to build one, has a maximum height? I know it's in zoning already, but if we're sort of foreseeing this issue, maybe it's worth just kind of giving them an extra heads up.
I like the idea. Staff, do you have any comments about that?
I was just trying to work something into the recommendation, but not as a condition. Just the condition is difficult to implement. The only way to implement maybe something along those lines would be put it into an agreement, registered on title, but unfortunately that's not applicable law for building permit and would get missed. So if you want to put something on notice, I would suggest something in the recommendation, some wording to that effect.
If we wanted to do that, we'd have to amend the motion on the floor. We're stuck in a rock and hard place. I think in a lot of neighborhoods, people are frankly kind of nosy. If people are going to put up a fence, I think bylaw is going to find out pretty quick, to be perfectly honest. Although it is a good suggestion, I'm not too worried. If someone's upset about the fence, the first thing they're going to do is call their city councilor or call bylaw. I think at this point we should go for a vote. I think we've kind of spoken our way out. So the motion on the floor, which is as recommended. Yep. So all in favor of the motion on the floor? Sorry. Member McCall?
Not meaning to delay the meeting any longer than necessary. I do appreciate the issue that the driveway should be as far away from the apex of the corner as possible, just as a safety issue. I'm thinking that a comment in the recommendation as a reminder about the fence being in the front yard can have a maximum of 3 feet. I think that's a good thing to have. I do agree that this is an awkward property to try and deal with, but I'd like to see a mention in there about the fence, because I don't think there's any professional fence builders here, but a lot of fences go up in violation of the bylaw, and it's much easier to solve it now than it is for bylaw to try and tell a property owner to tear down their $10,000 fence. So I think it's important that there be some notification in there registered on title, as suggested by staff. So if I could make a friendly amendment to the motion, is that some wording be put in the recommendation indicating to the eventual property owner that you may have a problem with your front fence. That's
Member Hanna?
Just to add my 2 cents, having done this for 33 years, the best approach if you want a fence, gentlemen, would be to add a condition that says that the owner into a development agreement to be registered on title, warning them about the fence. I don't know what the wording inside of that development agreement, but that would be a condition that actually could be cleared, because they'd have to enter into development. Trying to put it into the clause, I think, is actually impossible. And the only reason, again, I'm concerned about this is I think we're setting ourselves up for a particular lot here that the future owner is going to get hoodwinked. So, but if you decide to do that, I think it should be a condition that the owner enter into a development agreement registered on title to include a clause warning them about a fence in the front yard being 3 feet high, max. That's my 2 cents.
a question for my colleague. You used the word hoodwinked, and you kind of lost me there. The future owner could be hoodwinked? Can you explain that a little further?
As I said before, this particular lot is being designed currently, which I think is really awkward because you got the sliders to what will be an amenity area. It's a lovely amenity area, but it's just not going to be private. It's going to be opened up to this future owner on the one side and also the roundabout. So somebody's going to build a fence there. So I'm saying unless we warn somebody, if they buy this particular property, they're not going to be allowed to put up a high fence. And I also worry about safety too, because if you put up a fence, the guy next door in the semi, his driveway is going to be blocked. And that's a worst case scenario for somebody whipping around the roundabout.
Mr. Chair, thank you. That explains it. And as our chair pointed out, this is a complicated rock in a hard place, or we're trying to make lemonade out of lemons, as mentioned by someone else. I agree with Member Hanna that the first instinct of a property owner would be, well, I'm going to fence in my side yard. And I agree wholeheartedly that a fence more than 3 feet is going to be a problem for the traffic on the road and the adjacent property owners. So I think it's important that there be, as Mr. Hanna has mentioned, that there be a clause that says that it's registered on title to give a heads up to whoever is going to buy this property and build a house, or build a house, buy the property, something like that. So I'm in support of there being a condition in there that a notification is registered on title for the property owner, because if we don't, somebody's going to be upset 5-8 years from now. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Can we?
If I could
Yep,
just
thanks.
step in. So I can appreciate the notification. The property will have to be developed in accordance with the zoning bylaw. Any works that's done on the property is in accordance with the zoning bylaw and the fence bylaw. To put something on title, with title insurance, those are never researched, adhered to. The property owner wouldn't know it's there. I think the best thing to do in this instance is to put that in the recommendation to facilitate the construction of a new detached dwelling in accordance with the zoning bylaw and fence bylaw. That is the bylaw. To put the bylaw on title is an onerous request and would get missed with title insurance.
I do agree with staff. Vast majority of residential solicitors don't even bother to open up agreements on title. I'll tell you that. Yep, Member Hanna?
Could staff again explain where they want to put that?
I'm suggesting in the recommendation, after the words to facilitate the construction of a new detached dwelling in accordance with the zoning bylaw and fence bylaw.
I like that if someone wants to make a friendly amendment.
The zoning bylaw would take care of visibility issues, and the fence bylaw would take care of the height issues.
Yeah, Member Gamady?
So that would be before So that would be before generally in accordance with drawings. That's where you're.
That is correct, yes.
Member Gambit, do you want to make a friendly amendment?
Yeah, can I do that?
Yep, is that,
Do I have to
oh, it's okay.
phrase it, or?
Did Madam Clerk get it? There were any debate on the amended motion on the floor? Yep, Member Hanna.
Other than to say, I'm going to actually now support the motion on the floor.
I appreciate that. So can we go to a vote? Everyone happy? So as the amended motion on the floor, everyone in favor? And it passes unanimously. Thank you, guys. And thank you, staff, for the assistance. We do appreciate it. It's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we please get the applicant for A 2024-010 come forward? That's 7 Morrison. And can staff please introduce this application?
Yes, this is a minor variance application for 7 Morrison Road. This is a variance to the site-specific provision that was approved as part of a recent ZBA or zoning bylaw amendment application before council. The variance is to permit a floor space ratio of 1 instead of the maximum permitted 0.9 to facilitate the redevelopment of the property with 2 stacked townhouse buildings with 16 dwelling units each for a total of 32 dwelling units. It's in accordance with the drawings that were approved at council last year. So there are no changes to the proposal that was before council. It's just a technical amendment to the FSR because of the grading plans that have been done. So staff have reviewed the variance in light of the 4 tests. The Planning Act finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval.
Thank you so much, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Pierre Chauvin with MHBC Planning, and with me this morning is Paul Florica, the owner and developer and builder, fully in support of the staff recommendation. I just want to thank staff for their help on this. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Is there any members of the public who wish to provide statements in opposition? I don't believe there are. Did any of my members want to ask questions of the applicant or staff? No? Motion? Please. Member Santos?
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a second? Member Gambetti, second. No, I like the development. It's good. Supported by staff. So all in favor of the motion on the floor? It passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we please have the applicant for A 2024-011, that's 1955 Fisher Hallman, come forward? And can staff please introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 1955 Fisher Hallman Road. It is a minor variance to permit a minimum parking rate of 1 parking space per 30 square meters of gross floor area. Instead of the minimum required 1 parking space per 23 square meters of gross floor area. It's to facilitate the development of a recreational complex and sports facility at this location. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the 4 tests of Planning Act, finds that it meets all 4, is recommending approval subject to the condition that the applicant prepare a parking management plan for special events. This is to be approved by the city's director of sport in consultation with the city's director of transportation. And this was a recommendation as part of the parking justification study that was submitted with the application.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation? Oh, you pressed the, there you go. Yep.
Hi,
you're
good
good.
morning. My name is Ankush Bhola, and I do support the recommendation provided.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public here to provide comments in opposition? No? Did any of my members want to ask questions of staff or the... Yep, Member Hanna?
I'm going to move the staff recommendation, and just as an aside, I used to, as a former staff member, I used to love it when staff had to vary its own bylaws, so this is fun for me.
Can I get a second for the motion? Member Gambetti, second the motion. Thank you. I don't think any debate, so all in favor of the motion on the floor? And it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Finally, can we please have the applicant for B 2024-001 and 002 please come forward? That's 46 Shanley Street. And can staff please introduce these applications?
Yes, thank you, Chair. There are two consent applications. The first one to create for an existing semi-detached dwelling. Basically, the consent applications would facilitate the independent conveyance of each unit, rather than requiring the whole sale of the semi-detached dwelling. So the consent application would also create a access maintenance easement because the party wall is not shared 100% between the two dwelling halves. So the first application would create the new dwelling unit and one maintenance easement, and the second consent application would create the maintenance easement on the retained parcel. Staff reviewed the consent applications in light of provincial, regional, city policies, finds that it meets all of those, and is recommending approval subject to conditions.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record, and if he's in support of the staff recommendation, please?
Good morning. My name is Michael Welk, and I'm in support.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide opposition? Don't believe there are. Any questions of the applicant or staff? Member Hanna?
I'm just going to give kudos to staff. This is an older semi, and I'm glad the building code analysis has been included. I've asked for that in the past, and we've had a bit of an argument back and forth, so thank you for that. And I have no issue with this. I'm prepared to move the staff recommendation.
And then Member Gambetti seconded. Thank you. No detailed report. So this property, I can ask, I should have stepped up and asked this to the applicant, so I apologize to my fellow members. So how long has this operated as a duplex to your memory or knowledge?
I don't know for sure. I acquired the property about 2 years ago, so it was sometime before that.
Interesting. Interesting. I walk past this house all the time. I didn't even know there was two houses, so it shows how, I guess, minor it is. So saving that, yeah, Member Gambetti, did you have any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to basically say the same thing as Member Hanna, that I'm glad that there's a building code assessment, because I believe, to my knowledge, if there's a property line that might affect if there's a firewall required. I don't know all the details and whatnot, but I'm glad that that's there.
Thank you. So can we get a motion a vote on the motion? So all in favor of the motion on the floor, which is approved? And it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
So then finally, can we have a motion to adjourn? Yep. So I think Member Santos got his hand up first, seconded by Member Hanna. So all in favor of adjourning the motion, or adjourning the meeting? And the meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.